Welcome to Your Thoughts, Your Reality with Michael Cole, the podcast that shines a compassionate light on the journey of veterans battling through life's challenges. Michael is a dual elite certified neuroencoding specialist in coaching and keynote training presentations, dedicated to guiding military veterans as they navigate the intricate pathways of post-deployment life. Join him as we delve into the profound realm of neuroencoding science, empowering these brave individuals to conquer universal battles, procrastination, self-doubt, fear, and more. Together, let's uncover the strength within you to re-engage with families and society, forging a new path forward.
Hello, everybody. So today we have our repeat guest, Gina Iovino, my friend. Gina is a functional and nutritional coach specialist, a dual elite certified neuroencoding specialist, a Neuro Wellness Coach. She has a holistic approach to health and wellness and a very deep personal connection with her Marine brothers. So, Gina, we're going to be talking about Dr. Amen's Bright Minds again. But before we do, if you can tell us a little bit more about yourself for people that are tuning in for the first time.
Yeah, so thank you for that introduction, Michael. And yes, I do. I help women with getting their diet right. I really specifically kind of niched more into those women that are either at risk of having pre-diabetes or are currently right now experiencing diabetes. Mm-hmm. And the brain health comes in with Dr. Daniel Amen because we all know that type 3 diabetes now is Alzheimer's. Yeah. So I'm super passionate about what we can do now with our health so that we have lifelong longevity through the years as we continue to age.
Absolutely love it, and it's such a fantastic mission. I'm glad you're kind of moving and changing your niche a little bit because there's not enough out there. You know, there really isn't, and the more people that do it, obviously, the more light gets brought to it and help. So, amen. I absolutely love it. So, if we can, and we'll jump into Dr. Amen. So, just how did you get into this, and also neuroencoding, obviously.
Yeah. So, you know what? I think sometimes we fall into things that we normally wouldn't go towards, but something either happens in our life that pulls us in that direction. And that's kind of what happened to me. So I have my background in psychology. I was always fascinated at how people think, why they feel certain things and why they act in certain ways that they do. So after I had got my bachelor's, I kind of stepped back a little bit. I had kids and I was a mom. And so during that time, my health actually plummeted pretty bad. I was going to the doctor trying to figure out what was wrong with me. And it was just kind of like, well, we can give you this medication. We can do this. We can kind of put you on a pill. And I was like, you didn't know me before. Like, I wish you could spend one day inside of my body because this is not me. And this is not, they were told me, you're a mom. This is just kind of like mom life. And I'm like, well, I don't want this life. This is not what I thought, aging with my children was going to be like. And so I took a deep dive into health, went down a huge rabbit hole, just figured out that actually it was the food that I was communicating with my body, which was causing a hormonal imbalance. I was deprived of important nutrients. And so once I healed through food, I thought, other women need this. If they're not getting these answers. And so with my, my background also in psychology and how we think, that also is a part of how we eat and how we choose and the lifestyle. So all that comes together. And then to just be a better coach and understanding the women when they come to me, because there's all facets of life. We wear a lot of hats as parents. And so I wanted to be able to really listen in and key in and ask those very important questions and helping them go further, faster, not only in their health lifestyle, but in all areas of their life, because this is not just, we're just not in I call it, you're in the marathon race of your life, right? There's no end destination here, but we're just going to get to the next mile marker healthy and keep going in that direction to the next mile, to the next mile, the next mile.
Well, absolutely love that. Absolutely love that. And I'm just going to say, guys, listen up too. She speaks to women specifically, but everybody can use this information. I use it, so please listen up and take notes for that matter as well.
And it's good for men too. Like, men need to understand that, women and men, we are differently and how we need to eat. And so if they can also understand their women too and what they're going through, because we have a hormonal cycle, men don't have that cycle. So you can be more compassionate and listening into what your wife, your spouse, your partner needs to do at those different times of the month. And know when maybe is not a good time to have that kind of conversation, and then when is a good time. It's very important.
It is very important. Lives depend on it.
Yeah.
So if we can, really quick before we go further and jump into Dr. Amen, on the top right-hand corner, see if I can do that. I always do it wrong. Top right-hand corner of the screen there, you see a blue QR code. That takes you to empowerperformancestrategies.com. Again, empowerperformancestrategies.com for anybody listening later on the podcast. It has all kinds of resources for veterans, books I've written, Facebook groups, so you're not isolated, get involved in your community and so on, but have all that information there. So please check that out. It's really important to stay involved. Okay, ready?
Love it.
All right, Dr. Amen, let's go.
Yes. All right, so I'm going to share my screen with you guys that are watching us live. And thank you all for those of you that are here. I'm going to go ahead and present. So Bright Minds is what I learned through Dr. Yeah.
I'm sorry, the screen's not popping up.
What do you want me to do?
Your screen's not popping up?
Oh, mine isn't?
Yeah, I don't see it.
Is it now?
Yep.
All right. We good or no?
We are solid. Thank you.
Awesome. Okay. So, Dr. Daniel Amen, I studied through him, and one of his concepts that he teaches is this bright minds concept. So he wanted to be able to put something together, because he's also on a mission to make sure that we treat our brain with love and care, so that as we age, we have a beautiful life through as we go through each one of those stages. So he came up with Bright Minds, and each one of the letters stands for a different concept to try to remember and how we can treat our brain. So last time it was on, we talked about B, which was blood flow. And then this week, what we're going to talk about is the letter R in Bright Minds from Dr. Daniel Amen, which is all about retirement and aging, which is a key factor in how you can either deteriorate the brain or you can keep the brain healthy as you age and go through this process.
I love this, Gina. So, and I just want to make a point here. Start thinking about this now. If you just got out of the military and you're 20 years old, or if you're 30 or 40 or whatever it is, start thinking about this now, so that you're so far ahead of the game that it's not, oh man, I'm 63 and now I need to start thinking about this. I just wanted to make that point real quick. So please.
And I love that you made that point, because another thing which is actually really fascinating is that, in our brain, we have what's called the hippocampus that rests on the left and the right hemisphere of our brain. And which is involved in your learning, this is your memory, it's your mood, your emotions. So the hippocampus and the health of the hippocampus is very, very important. And what's really fascinating is every single day for every adult that there is somewhere between 700, depending on your brain type, 700 up to like 1,000 new neuron cells that the hippocampus creates every single day.
Wow.
Isn't that's amazing?
It is.
So that is just like proof there that that on a continual basis, our body wants to heal. It wants to recover. It wants to strive. It wants to live, right? And so depending on what you do every single day, you have a chance. And whether you say that those neurons, they link and they're successful, or like what Dr. Daniel Amen loves to say, you murder them, basically. So I just find that to be super, super fascinating. So,
yeah, and that's a strong point. You're murdering your brain cells. That puts it in perspective, doesn't it?
Yes, it really does. And then it gets you into thinking, though, too, like in everything that you do, where you can say, and this is what he likes to say, is this good for my brain or is this bad for my brain? Right. So I just think it gives you also in that mindset to start thinking that way, start training yourself that way in the choices that you make, throughout your day, your weeks, your months, the year. So
yeah, love that.
Yeah. And, we also too, that if you don't use it, then unfortunately you lose it. And this is a very huge thing in retirement and aging, because as we get older, a lot of people kind of like to kick back, like to take a little seat back. I know that, we go through life where there's a lot of stress. And so, as we age, we just kind of like stop doing some of those things that we love. And so what ends up happening is those seahorses, right? they don't latch on, and we lose a lot of those. And there's a lot of deterioration that happens as we age. So we really need to now, especially at the age that you're at now, it's more important and crucial to really get into some of these things that we're going to be talking about and really start implementing them on a daily basis. And the other beautiful thing, because Dr. Daniel Amen has done over 200,000 brain scans, is he knows, and I've seen it myself in scans personally, is that you are not stuck with the brain that you have, right? And that's at any age. So that's the beautiful thing, that by making great choices, having good habits, and taking care of yourself, that you can increase the longevity and the cognitive bandwidth of your brain and the functioning of your brain. So
Fantastic.
very, very
Fantastic.
important. So a couple things that you can actually do if you're thinking about protecting your brain. One of the great things that you can do when you are going into retirement aging, this might even work for somebody that's like, just transitioning out of the military. They kind of want to take a little bit of a break. They're displaced. They might not know exactly where they're going to fit right now, but we don't want them to be too comfortable, right? Because they can fall into this category of kind of like that retirement phase. And so we always want to make sure that we're keeping up with the new learning, right? Because we want to make sure that those branches inside of the brain are continually, active and working. So new learning is perfect. Another thing too is having time for some meditation, keeping those stress levels down. High instances of stress, cortisol does a lot of damage, not only to the brain, but to the body as well. So taking that time for a little bit of R&R is super important.
Gina, if we can really quick, so as far as new learning, so I mean, for me, I'm always reading books. I'm playing musical instruments, and I've been doing that since I was 15 years old. So what are some other, if we can really quick, some other thoughts or tips on what new learning means for people specifically?
Yes. Yeah, and I love you. Actually, this is going to kind of go towards the end with our three things to leave with everybody with that I have for them. But one of the things that you can see there where it says challenges is you want to do things like brain games. You want new stimulation. You can always still do the things that you love, but you always want to be challenging your brain. Doing even things like with exercises. If you're just lifting weights, maybe you need to throw in some, balancing movements where you're challenging the cerebellum, which also makes the prefrontal cortex a lot stronger. So that means maybe standing on one leg and doing lifts and keeping on balance. So it's being able to challenge yourself in new ways that you haven't in a while. Because that's where we want the expansion, and we want the growth, and we want these new neurons that we're getting every single day to start latching onto new parts of the brain on the left and the right hemisphere. And we're going to be doing that by experiencing new things. That goes with the movement. Like I said, reading. If you haven't read in a while, that's a great thing to get back into, where you're really focused in your reading. Dr. Daniel Amen loves ping pong. He said that's probably like one of the best sports that you can do for your brain. It's not only, thought, you've got speed of the ball coming back and forth. You've got coordination. You're working the eyes and the full body. So that's a great thing to do. I'd say get out and do, maybe if you haven't done some of the sports that you loved in a long time, go out and do some of those. And new learning could be something like, no matter what age, you could pick up an instrument. Yeah. And start learning a new instrument. So learning can be anything and everything.
Yeah. I started playing drums a couple of years ago.
That's awesome.
Playing guitar and all the different stuff my whole life. And it's like, you know what? I want to learn something new. So exciting and helping that brain. So I love it. Absolutely love it.
Yeah, absolutely fabulous.
Thank you for those tips.
Yeah. And, I'm going back to things that protect too, with retirement aging, there were studies that came out and said that the more that people, as they got older, that isolated themselves, the higher the incidence of developing depression and anxiety, which deteriorates the brain and causes dementia. So if you can get out, you can volunteer, go see your family, take trips, be a part of society, that's definitely going to help you. And the other thing is the quality of your relationships also help with retirement aging and for your brain too as well.
Love it.
And those intimate relationships are super important even as we age.
Yeah, that's excellent. And why do you say that?
For intimacy?
Yep.
Well, intimacy does a lot of things. There's a lot of chemical reactions that happen when you're intimate with somebody. One of those is oxytocin, which gets released, which is our bonding and our connection to one another. And also too, we really are a species of where we are community based. And so the more that you're isolated and that you're not being able to experience those feelings and the nootropic feelings that are inside the brain, the more and more that you are going to sink into things like depression, anxiety, more severe isolation, negative thoughts and thinking. um,
So the deeper the relationship, obviously the all those feel good hormones and all that stuff gets released, and you feel more connected, which is awesome. Thank you for making that point.
Yeah,
Very
and thinking about a relationship too, if you're really deep inside that relationship, you're probably out doing things together, right? You're probably doing new learning or,
Yep.
engaging in community or other sets of relationships and friendships too as well. So that other person can also keep you going with those things as well.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah. Yeah. And then just, people always kind of want to know, what are the foods and stuff that we should be thinking about as we're aging and how to protect the brain. Always a great multivitamin. I would highly say though that any type of multivitamin or any supplement that you do put in your mouth, just don't trust just what it says on the label. I should always say everyone should do their due diligence, look up the company, see where it comes from. You want to make sure other things like leads and mercuries aren't being found in some of these supplements. And you want to make sure that it's being sourced from an ethical company. Because unfortunately, actually, in the United States, there aren't really high regulations as to who can start a supplement company, which I find to be really kind of appalling there, that just anybody can kind of open up and they can just start pulling things and make a supplement and sell it out there.
That is scary as hell, Gina. That is
Yeah,
scary as hell.
it
Um,
really is.
as far as like having lead and those kinds of things in your supplement, how do you know? I mean, it's not going to literally say it on the bottle, will it?
No, it will not, definitely will not say it on the bottle because then nobody will want to buy it. That's where you have to kind of do your due diligence, and you have to get on the internet. You have to look up these companies. Maybe you have to see if has there been any complaints? Has there been any maybe settlements from these companies, from people that have been taking it? I would say, you have to also see the proof in the pudding. Dr. Daniel Amen, with his multivitamins, he has a huge science team that goes into all of this with the research and where it comes from and where it's highly sourced, because he's also on a mission for our brains to be beautiful all the way throughout our lifespan. And he scans people at all different stages and ages of their life, and they're all using his nutraceuticals. And so he can also see how these are affecting people's brains too.
Yeah.
So,
Talk about
um,
proof in the pudding, right?
yeah, right, right.
So,
So he
and just so everybody's clear,
testing. So yes.
yeah,
Hmm.
just so everybody's clear, we're not pushing Dr. Amen's
Right.
products. We're just familiar with them and have a high respect for them. So
Yes,
just
absolutely.
understand that
And
everybody.
he sets a standard. So if you're like, okay, well, I'm curious, what should the standard be? Go check out his website and see what he's doing and all of his research there. You can click on all of his stuff. He's got tons of blogs. And so that way it kind of sets a nice standard, I would
Absolutely.
say, if you're going to go
Absolutely.
look somewhere else. Yep.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yeah. We know turmeric helps with inflammation, not only in the body, but in the brain as well. Fasting is really great when it comes to retirement and aging. So, some things that happen as we continue to get older, right? We might find out, we might go to the doctor, we have high cholesterol, our blood pressure is high, maybe our insulin levels are kind of like through the roof. Maybe we are pre diabetic, maybe we are diabetic. So, fasting can be a great tool into helping heal the body and do some repair with retirement and aging. And there also have been studies found that as you get older, obviously we are not using as much energy as we used to in our younger years. So you don't need to have that much as far as calories on a daily basis. And if you are going to be eating, we want to be really sticking to those whole foods. I truly, truly believe that what you communicate as far as eat goes in your body it's gonna come out in how you feel, your mood, your energy level, all of that. And calories do matter. So when I say that, I mean of calories of potato chips versus calories of a well balanced meal.
Yeah.
Out of the two, which one should you be picking? The well balanced meal, obviously.
Yeah, those quality calories are super
Yes.
important to get those nutrients and so on. So,
Mhm.
if we can, because we're really good on time, I'd love
Yeah,
to jump back to fasting just for a minute. So, a
sure.
lot of people don't realize when you're eating, your body isn't recovering.
Yeah.
It isn't,
I'm gonna
and
stop
that's
sharing too, Mike. I'll stop sharing too.
oh, okay, thank you. Uh, I just rolling with it. So, as far as the the fasting, and I'm a big fan of it. So, and I noticed when I did it, and my wife as well, that we definitely felt better. The aches and pains. I'm not going to say my age, but I'm old enough that we started feeling those things going away. It's amazing because no clue that when you stop and you're fasting, stop eating, because we're taught what 4 to 5 meals a day. We're supposed to be doing 3 meals and
Mhm.
2 snacks. That's what we're taught, and it's was such an eye opener with that fasting.
Yes.
That window. Uh, so would you talk a little bit more about that, if you will? Because I don't think most people really just don't have a clue.
Right. And I also want to say too, before you jump into anything like that, you really need to speak to your doctor.
Oh yes,
This
yeah,
is not for somebody if you're on medications. This shouldn't be for somebody if you have underlying issues that you don't know about. Okay, because you could fast, and what if you have really problems with your blood sugar? You don't want you passing out and hurting yourself. So yeah, so always first speak to your doctor, and then you can go into these different avenues. Now there's so many different types of fasting. There's different times. There's water fasting. There's dry fasting. There's 5 day mimicking fasting. So being also able to grab a coach that can help support you within what your goals are, where's your health at now, and where you can start implementing those is also going to be crucial too.
yeah.
But
And
fasting, it's amazing. It really is because what it does is it allows your body to start repairing and start healing. It goes around and it just starts saying, should I keep this? Should I throw it out or should I repair it? Right?
when you hire a coach, not all, just like calories, not all
Yes,
coaches are the same quality. So,
right.
find somebody, and I'm not pushing anything, but find somebody that's knowledgeable and actually cares. They're not just trying to get a buck from you.
Yeah.
There's so many coaches out there. Do a little research, find one that fits you and your goals and is knowledgeable. It's super important. It's compared to somebody that just says cut your calories and work out. So and
Mhm.
will give you a goal for it, but really doesn't understand all of the underlying potential issues. So I just want to put that out there. So more on
I'm
fasting,
glad
please.
you did. And I'm glad you did because everybody should be dieting differently,
Mhm.
as far as their nutritional lifestyle, because there are a lot of factors. You got to take health into effect. I mean, we got to take your genes into effect. Where's your gut microbiome? Have you been real sick over the past year? So there's so many little things that you have to really get a detailed history of that person before you just spew out eat this, eat this. I mean, yeah, there is a basic. You can go on Google, you can look at all these things, you can grab a book, and you can start eating really well. That's a great place to start. But if you have some really down deep root causes, you're going to need to not only work with a doctor, but you're also going to need to work with a nutritional coach to make sure they're on the same page and that they're working together alongside each other for that
Mm.
ultimate result that you want.
I absolutely love that. I absolutely love that. Have have them communicate.
Yep.
So you're just gonna get further faster. I absolutely love that, Gina. Okay, thank you. Yeah, we can go ahead and go on to the next one because now we got about 6 minutes to go.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of all of it for retirement aging, but
Okay.
yeah, but there's definitely a lot of things that you can do. I'm really glad that we're talking about this because we really need to understand that health needs to start here first in the brain, and then everything else will follow.
Amen.
Yes.
So since we have time, let's talk
Sure.
neuroencoding. So with neuroencoding and nutrition, what are some of the ways that you have helped people really hold to their nutrition and their goals? I'm not a fan of the word diet because it just
Yeah.
has that
Yes.
stigma around it, but with nutrition and their goals, with neuroencoding, what are some skill sets or some things you taught people?
Yeah, I love neurocoding. Neurocoding has taught me a lot of things about how to be an effective coach and a better coach at listening to my client.
Mm,
Okay. Because it's not always about me regurgitating information. I really need to be a good coach in listening and what they're telling me. Then from what they tell me, then I can help them find it within themselves of which direction. Again, I told you we are on a path of a marathon. And to get that next mile marker, I want you to choose what that next mile looks like. Because you have to go home, you have to put these things in place, and this is your lifestyle. So I want you to be happy with the choices that you're making so that you can get the results. With all of my ladies too, I always want them to be leaders in their own life for themselves and for their families. So, being able to just go through certain things, like I said, we wear different hats. So it's kind of nice to be a neuroencoder where we can talk about relationships. We can talk about self-care. We can talk about, how stress, what's going on with work, because all these pieces all fit together and we have to balance all of them.
Yeah.
It's not like nutrition is going to solve everything. It's a stepping stone, but it's not going to solve everything if we have high levels of stress or we're not communicating with our kids at home or our relationships. So, it's being able to sit down in those sessions too and say, okay, what's going on? Because sometimes instead of giving somebody, maybe 3-4 things to do, if I hear what's going on with them from a neuroencoding standpoint, we can, if they have a lot going on, maybe we can start with something smaller
Yeah.
for each of them.
I love that.
One step. Yeah.
Absolutely love that. Because if you give too much, they don't do it.
Yeah.
So you touched on something. I'm glad you brought that up. Stress, right? Everybody feels it in different ways. Everybody deals with it in different ways. As neuroencoders, we have skill sets that help us default quickly back to our best selves. So with stress, eating, right? What do people do when they're stressed out? They try to escape it. They go and they drink, they do drugs, they eat, they binge watch TV or do video games or whatever the case may be, whatever it is for you. But it's a natural human habit until you find a way to break it. What are some thoughts on stress eating? What are some techniques or a technique, because now we're getting low on time, because we could talk forever. What are a technique that you would say, hey, this is what my go-to with my clients or yourself especially, that gets me out of that stress realm so I don't go grab the potato chips because I'm not even hungry in the first place?
Yes, yes. I love this one. And I always tell my women, I don't care if you're in your house, in your pantry, if you're in the supermarket ready to grab something off of the shelf, I want you to have a conversation with that product in that moment. So if you're grabbing it, I want you to look at it and I want you to say to yourself, what am I thinking, first of all, about this product? What thoughts are going on? Now, if I eat this, how is it going to make me feel?
Mm,
Is it going to make me have what I want in the future? Right. And then from there, again, just kind of like that loop, coming back to the loop, think, feel, what should I do so I can have what I want? And going through that step and being able to say that to themselves and having that, because sometimes when we have that little bit, that scotoma, right, that break that puts that in there for them, for where they can have that stop moment and they're actually having a conversation. It's not just based off of urge and emotion.
love it.
Now we're putting the thought process into it.
Yeah.
And sometimes,
please.
yeah, they're being present in that moment of what's going on, and sometimes it's like, no, I am going to put that down. I think I'm going to go for that walk. Yeah. Just because my boss just made me upset a second ago because I work from home and I got up and I went into the kitchen. Like, that's why I'm doing this, because I was upset in a moment. Can I call somebody now and let them know that I was upset that my boss did something? Is there a coworker I can vent to? Or can I just go outside and just go sit for a minute? Take my, technically not your smoke break, but we used to have those, right? We worked at places to be able to just sit outside and just breathe for a minute, meditate, and feel better.
I love that. And I also love, of course, the walk, especially. You're getting the exercise when you're releasing all those good hormones and you're getting vitamin D. Woohoo!
Yes.
all great. Awesome. So we're at the end. So if you can, the drill.
Yeah.
Get veterans and their families further faster, please.
Yeah. So when it comes to retirement aging, the first thing that I want you to do is just take a moment after this and think about what you want for the health of your aging brain. Like, where do you see yourself at age 70, 80, 90? That's the first step, because you have to see it out there for who you want to be and who you want to become. So that putting these things in place are going to not only be, they're going to be your momentum, right? And your motivation. Okay. So do that first. The second thing I want you to do is I want you to make a list of activities that maybe you used to do that you want to get back into, whether it's reading, or I used to play, baseball, but maybe I can get the guys together and do a softball, bring us together for that activities, and then new things. And then also have a list of new things that you haven't done that maybe you would like to try and do. So have that list. And then the third thing is, you know what, you got to act on it. So do it. And you can also do this to your family. It's really fun. I mean, I take my kids to the library every week. They pick new books. And the best way that I can get in my reading time is when I have them engaged as well.
Yeah.
Take the time. It's this reading time. We all sit down. They're in their spots. I'm in my spot. And we have that time. So definitely can do it with the kids as well.
Love it. And you're creating that community, which is awesome. You're bonding with the people that love you and you love the most, which is amazing. I mean, those are just fantastic tips. Absolutely fantastic.
And for veterans, it's fantastic. I just want to say too, for those veterans, and remembering today, Red Friday, everyone deployed, all of our veterans out there. Thank you so much for what you do. And this would be great if you have some buddies. Maybe you guys are all struggling together, and instead of, like, how can we, maybe just by starting by saying, hey, like, what can we do that's new? How can we get together?
Awesome.
Outside of the house,
Absolutely love it.
Calling those guys up, saying, hey, let's meet up. Let's do this.
Absolutely. And maybe you're not even struggling, but just create that space. Anyway, all of the above are fantastic. Gina, thank you so much, my friend. How do people reach you?
You can find me on Facebook at Gina Iovino. I also have my business, which is Health and Mindset Revolution, as you see there, and on Instagram at Gina Will Show You.
Awesome. Gina, as always, I know you're on here every other Friday. Love it. So stay tuned, people. She will be back, and of course, she's been on past episodes, so check those out as well. Again, thank you. Our most precious resource is human beings. We don't get time back. So thank you again for spending the time as always with us. I'm honored you're here. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you to be here.
Absolutely. On that note, we are out of here.
Thank you for joining us on another insightful journey of Your Thoughts, Your Reality podcast with your host, Michael Cole. We hope the conversation sparked some thoughts that resonate with you. To dive deeper into empowering your thoughts and enhancing your reality, visit empowerperformancestrategies.com. Remember, your thoughts shape your reality, so make them count. Until next time, stay inspired and keep creating the reality you desire. Catch you on the next episode.